this is Deborah Anderson, the Black Woman Animator, and this is a new show called The Lifestyles of the Whimsical and Animated, where I highlight the quirky lifestyles of animation professionals and show off their offices or their homes and all their toys and other artwork. In this first episode, I'm highlighting Ron Myrick, Animation Director. Let's take a look.
Here is a photograph that's very near and dear to my heart. The Great Day in Harlem, taken in 1958 by a photographer that was able to assemble many of the jazz greats of that day. And he has Dizzy Gillespie, Art Blakey, Chubby Jackson, Bud Freeman, Horace Silver, really true jazz icons of that day, all assembled on a front porch or a stoop in Harlem. And it's a day long to be cherished and remembered in music. Now, in contrast to this, we recently, earlier this year, had a great day in animation where a number of African American animators assembled on the backlot of Paramount Studio, the New York backlot, to recreate this great iconic moment, but using animators, of which I was privileged to be among the group, sitting right next to the author or conceptual artist that came up with the idea, Marlon West, who is actually a great animator at Disney. It was a wonderful experience, very heartwarming to see how the business has grown for us, people of color, since my beginnings, my humble beginnings in 1973, when there were two African Americans, myself and another guy at the studio. I was started at Filmation, and there were other people in the business, of course, Floyd Norman, Ron Husband, Leo Sullivan, Bob Tyler, all people I met later. As far as African American women, I only knew of one at that time, a checker named Jackie Banks, who's no longer with us. And from humble beginnings, our numbers started to grow. And now we're creators, directors, and crossing so many lines in a positive way, setting role models and opening doors for young people to come in and join us. Now, over here, we have my infamous closet, you might say, where unintentionally I have garnered the reputation of being the best dressed man in animation. I don't know where the rumor came from or reputation started. But I'll give you a little bit of background behind it. And it comes out of no anger or malice of any sort. But I had a colleague, an African American colleague, who used to dress very casual and very nice, but he would wear jeans and t-shirts and so on. One day he walked into the office to see another executive. In fact, this colleague was a music director at the Saban studio. But because he was an African American and casually dressed, the executive, Caucasian, whose office he walked in, just casually directed him to, "Oh, would you go empty my trash can?" He stepped back and looked at the guy and said, "I work here. I'm a director just like you." From that day till Saban closed its doors, he wore a suit every day. I might argue, actually, that he was the best dressed man in animation because he wore a suit and tie or close to it every day. But nevertheless, what I learned is people judge you, unfortunately, by what they see. And as an African American, basically, I wanted to represent us in the most positive light in terms of dress, presentation, and who I am as my career began to advance. Uh, Often the meetings I was in then, as they are now, I'm the only African American, and I feel it's important that I make a good presentation. So, again, unintentionally, not on purpose, don't know where it came from altogether. This is the closet, lights out. Back in my college days when I was principally a fine artist, studying fine arts at the California College of Arts and Crafts. These are two compositions that I did. My major was drawing. And I love the medium of charcoal, sometimes pastel. But I did these two compositions that are rather dark. The top one really bleak as a impoverished woman is looking out the door, hoping life will get better, but the Grim Reaper is behind her, and it has a foreboding message, you might say. And this is an individual leaving perhaps a cathedral or a street in Europe, perhaps. But I was given high marks for both compositions, and I enjoyed doing them. But after graduation, I came into the industry of animation, and my fine arts kind of petered out, and I don't draw very much anymore. But I still have a love of it and appreciate when others do it and that I'm working with. So as my career began to advance, I really had a wonderful experience and a great privilege to direct my first series for Barbera, The Addams Family. And what an amazing cast I had. I wasn't even aware of the talent, the depth of the talent in the room, but the fun we had is immeasurable. Jim Cummings, who has done many, many great roles. Nancy Lanari, who is, I think, primarily a stage actress now. The original Gomez Addams, John Aston. Jeannie Elias was the young brother Pugsley, with Debbie Derryberry, who's done so much work, and a very prolific and funny comedian named Rip Taylor. He was very big in the 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s. Carol Channing, a Broadway star who I believe may have been the first Hello Dolly, and again, innovated so many roles. She was a gem to work with. Pat Fraley, a great voice. Rob Paulson, Edie McClure, and Dick Beals, who was the oldest member, playing a boy in this show, but his voice never changed. He always sounded like a young boy, and he was very famous in the 50s and 60s as the voice of Speedy Alka-Seltzer. You'd have to go on YouTube to find and look up an old Alka-Seltzer commercial. But that's the voice of Dick Beals, and he did a great many radio shows at that time, always playing a young boy. But was a delight to work with, and it's one of my favorite, most cherished series that I worked on. The second series that I directed is here for the Studio Deke Sonic the Hedgehog. We actually won a Golden Reel Award for sound effects, which the studio I was working with at the time was very happy and surprised that we beat out many of the primetime shows then and Disney shows to win this award. And the season that we did of Sonic is still got a fan base that would like to see it come back. So it's another cherished moment in my life. These two pictures represent happy and sad days in my career. This I received from Barbera when I was recruited to come work over at Deke Studio. And many of the signatures here are dear friends I worked with at that time. I'm still in touch with many. And again, some of the best, happiest days of my career. And not too long ago, about 6 years ago, I was the principal director at a Chinese studio called Dream East. And they created this lovely picture, a caricature of myself, and the signatures expressing their appreciation and the fun, again, that we had working together. That I could say is one of the joys of animation, meeting wonderful people and having fun and creating a network and bond, like a family bond that doesn't go away. So in the late 90s, about 1998, I was working at Saban Studio, and the first series I did for them was called BAD, Bureau of Alien Detectors. It was quite popular in Europe, not as successful here in the US, but the second series I did was The Incredible Hulk, which is where I obtained this very detailed portrait of the Hulk, which I liked quite a bit. And I affectionately call this my Hulk wall. I sort of dedicated it to the Hulk with a few other action-adventure characters or superheroes or anti-heroes like Spawn. There's Captain America. And these are cells, which are not done anymore, from the series, model sheets from the series. And again, it's sort of like memorabilia, maybe worth something, but for me, they're invaluable. And for some reason, like coming home to have the Hulk grimace at me. This one I like particularly because it's Jack Kirby's Hulk, which I feel was the best. He was the best artist to draw the Hulk, in my opinion, for what that's worth. But there have been many very cool renditions of him. Hopefully a movie that does him justice one day. He's a good character in the Avengers, but the solo Hulk movies have been underwhelming. Again, my humble opinion. But this was a lovely, fun series to work on. The Blues Man, I adopted that as one of my latest aliases. I have had several over the years, starting back in my teenage years. Whenever I gravitated to a particular celebrity or singer or something, I would adopt their last name. So in my high school years, I called myself Ronnie Chambers because I was a part of the Chambers Brothers, who were a gospel rock group, famous for the song "The Time Has Come," but they actually introduced me to the first blues record that I liked, that I embraced, and became my theme song for a great many years, called "Rock Me Baby." But it started my love of the blues, which has grown in my golden years now, The blues speaks to my heart and soul, my roots, southern roots, from Atlanta, Georgia. And without going into any details, life experiences I've had. Exercise is very important to me and has been since my early 20s. I grew up kind of sedentary. I wasn't an outstanding athlete, but unlike kids today, I played in the neighborhood. We played whatever the going sport was: football, baseball, basketball. Even did some running. I didn't excel at anything, but I didn't have any real guidance and balance as to diet and exercise. Exercise was just, it was fun. But in school, a counselor made the mistake of telling me I didn't have to pass gym to graduate. And it dawned on me, and I thought, you mean I could fail gym and still graduate? And she said, yeah. Well, from that day till I graduated, I never went to gym again. No, she said, all you have to do is show up at roll, and then you can leave. And so that's what I did. I was a heavy, thick, kid, not obese, but big. But as I started to mature and think about my future, I had grown up eating Southern cuisine. I loved biscuits, gravy, collard greens, cornbread, ham, blah, 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 barbecue, you name it. I ate it, loved it. But it began to dawn on me that this is a diet recipe for a heart attack the older you get. I began to look around to see a great many men in their 50s, late 40s and 50s, contracting colon cancer. And the common denominator I began to see was marbleized red meat. So I stopped eating red meat. Pork made me nauseous, so it was easy. I gave up pork. But then I really changed when I went up north to Oakland to college when I graduated. And it was a biking community. People rode bikes. And so I got a bike and started riding it. And it was exercise, it was regular exercise, and I loved it. And I lost 40 pounds. Like, it didn't melt off, but I wasn't conscious of losing weight and losing size, and I liked it. But in addition to that, I began to put two and two together, that if I keep this up as a lifestyle, when I'm an older man, as I am now in my 70s at this point, but in my 60s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, if I stay active, I can continue to be active in my golden years. And so but I knew the key was to find an exercise that you enjoy doing. I just like being active, and it not only has physical benefits for me, but also mental and emotional benefits. It helps to center me when I'm feeling a little down or depressed. I'm able to focus and think over problems with production or other things. And I just feel like it's something I'm always going to do till I can't do it anymore. So there was plate fit, spinning, personal training, hiking, and finally, to round it out, we started doing Pilates. And when I say we, throughout these exercise experiences, I gain family members, people and friends who become like family because we all enjoy working out and encouraging each other to stay healthy and fit. I'm probably the oldest in the group, but age isn't a factor. Age doesn't matter. We just enjoy being active and encouraging each other. So all these activities that I enjoy doing, as they built up, I never thought about the fact that I was 68 years old doing these things, that most people that age are not as active and, going out and doing so many things of that nature. Again, for me, starting back in my early 20s to today, it was a goal that I'm very happy I accomplished and will continue. So in addition to art and culture, music, which is a part of culture, is very important to me. When I was a young boy, we would watch musicals. I love watching musicals on television. And the Channel 9 network had a program they called The $1 Million Movie. It was a movie they'd pick out on Sunday and play it every day at the same time, and until the following Saturday. As a result of that, being a kid, kids like repetition. So not my sisters and I would watch all these musicals and then reenact the musicals. Damn Yankees, too many Elvis movies, and others. So much so that Bye Bye Birdie. So much so that in my wild imagination, I used to think, why can't life be like a musical? Why can't we just spontaneously start singing or just hear music when we walk into a room or something? Well, so I always had a big boom box or some means of playing music or taking music with me as I was growing up. But now, with the advent of Bluetooth, I have purchased a small speaker, a Bose speaker, and I've had others, but right now it's a Bose that I can put in my backpack so that when I'm hiking or honestly wherever I am, music is in the vicinity. I can play music from my phone to the speaker. And again, it calms me, it brings me peace of mind and makes me happy. The music I like best is live. I love live music, but if I can't have live music, then I play it from my phone. And my taste is very eclectic, going from blues, because I am the blues man, classical, R&B, of course, jazz, yes. And lately, I've grown very fond and developed a deep affection for choral music. I attend the concerts of the Master Chorale at Disney Hall, and I have found them deeply enriching, spiritually enriching. I can't learn enough about music. One day, it was on my bucket list of retirement to learn to play the piano that sits over there with that skeleton on it right now. I haven't had time to do that because my other art form of animation continues to flourish and grow and keep me busy. So, and when I'm not doing that, rather than go sit and do something else, I'm out hiking and getting out to enjoy life outside of this apartment. But music is a very important component. My environment, my working environment, whether here in my home or my office, is a reflection of who I am. I like to be in a space where I look around to see things that make me happy. So there are many toys here, pictures. When I worked at Saban, my office was quite colorful, and it kind of grew. It didn't happen all at once, but whenever there was a tour of the studio, they made sure they came by my office, because from literally floor to ceiling, and I had posters on the ceiling and speakers on the wall and books, and it was quite colorful. But it was an environment that I found inspired me, inspired my creative juices, and it continues to this day. So yeah, I feel having a comfortable, fun environment is an important component in being a good director, being a good artist, being a creative.